Soft sheets, warm embrace, and dim setting. Wine's hand stroked through the hair of her beloved husband. He lay peacefully asleep, his features softened by the tenderness that he reserved only for her. She couldn't help but smile as he watched him, gently brushing a strand of hair away from his forehead. She leaned in and kissed him softly. His eyes fluttered open and his lips curled into a warm smile. Vian, good morning, my love, she whispered. Jungkook stretched and sat up, allowing Vian to see the vulnerable side that he showed only to her. Jungkook, good morning, princess. She sat up as well and placed a kiss on his back before getting off the bed. Vian, come back after your meeting. Let's have a dinner date. Jungkook, as my princess wants. She giggled satisfied. He really knew how to spoil her. The two got off the bed, getting ready for the day, while Jungkook showered up and now sat before the mirror. Vine dried his hair with a blow dryer, his hands on her thigh, enjoying the affection. It wasn't only him who would spoil her, it was her who made sure he received his part of love and affection more than any man could ever receive. He picked up the call when his phone rang and saw Wine was busy getting him fixed up. She buttoned up his shirt and fixed it up for him. His watch, ring, and cologne were all that counted accessories he needed. Once she got him ready, pouring all her love like the typical couple they were behind the door, he pulled her in for a kiss. His rough hand held her jaw, and he poured his love into the kiss. Jungkook, I love you, he reminded her, his words so soft like a warm hug on a cold night. She hugged him and left a kiss on his neck, leaving a faint stain there. Her lip balm had color to it, which was one reason she loved it, marking him every time before sending him away. Jungkook, I'll try to come back on time. After the breakfast, Jungkook left to his office. The massive building which stood proudly around the other huge buildings, which seemed much smaller as compared to his. The architecture screamed luxury and something too pleasing to eyes. It needed quite some moments of admiration. A sprawling and heavily guarded building where he conducted his underground dealings. Vine knew the importance of his work and supported him in every step of the way. Every step he took, every point he passed by, people stopped and offered their morning respect. And deep down their heart, they admired him for the charming man he was. In his office, Jungkook was in a meeting with his top associates. They were discussing their operations when one of the employees, a man named Kim, began a PowerPoint presentation. It was pin drop silence except for the voice of the employee who kept on about explaining the whole setting. As the slides changed, an image of wine unexpectedly appeared on the screen. Kim panicked. pressed the key to close it, yet it only did him further damage, as more and more pictures of wine appeared on screen, all the very pictures which were never taken with consent. The pictures where Wine wasn't even aware of the camera, even if she were. Why did his employer hide them? Jungkook's eyes narrowed and he clenched his fist under the table. Kim had been Wine's stalker for a while. Every time she came to office with his boss, he just couldn't help but resent him for having such a beautiful lady up his arm. It was also one of the times when she for the first time came to office alone. In that first sight, Kim was head over heels for her. Back then, he didn't know who she was. His fantasy didn't live long when he found out she came to meet her husband, who was none other than his own boss. However, he couldn't help the obsession that grew within him. Following and stalking her became his hobby, taking her pictures and framing them all over the walls of his home and his heart was all he could do. Jungkook was a man he couldn't fight, but he could try to do things that might give him wine. Maybe meet her and change her mind. Set Jungkook up for something that wine might hate. There were a lot of ways, but he didn't have the chance to work on even one of them. The sight of her on the presentation infuriated him. He maintained his composure and calmly asked, Jungkook, Kim, care to explain why my wife's picture is on the screen? Kim stammered nervously, trying to find an excuse. Kim, I don't know how this happened, sir. It must have been a technical glitch. Jungkook's voice was dangerously calm, as if nothing about it affected him, but the aura that he reflected could be sensed by even a blind man who couldn't see the range burning in his eyes. Jungkook, bring me this laptop. He gestured with his fingers. Kim felt his knees getting weak. Jungkook wasn't only known for his ruthlessness, he lived up to his reputation. He was wasting time of every associate present there, but he couldn't care less when a much important topic was on loose, the topic that involved his wife. With weak and wobbly legs, Kim presented the laptop before Jungkook, which was now disconnected from the projector. There were more pictures of his wife in that laptop than he expected. Jungkook, everyone out except for Kim. Every single person present there dashed out of the room, away from the destructive aura that strangled them in a chokehold. Jungkook stood up, pushing his chair back. Kim stepped back in fear. Jungkook, explain. The realization dawned upon Kim. He never really stood a chance before Jungkook, someone so powerful. He was on always his mercy, wasn't he? Kim fell on his knees and joined his hands. Kim, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Jungkook. Should have explained when I gave you the chance. He grabbed the other by hair, getting him back on his feet, only to smash his head against the table. The surface was made of hard glass. It could break any moment, leaving Kim in nothing but a pool of blood. He feared it, yet there was nothing he could do. With every press of button on the laptop, as the pictures kept sliding, more and more emerged. They just never ended. Jungkook froze, his fingers still in Kim's hair, and eyes processing the information they just took. Vine's pictures, where she is getting a body massage inside a spa salon. Only a piece of towel covering her, leaving the rest of her whole body on the display. Kim cried out of fear. Jungkook's whole body lit up with fire and aggression as he repeatedly started to hit Kim's head against the glass. It was bleeding. The glass started to crack. Kim screamed a few times. Even his screams died, leaving no energy in him. With one more strong blow, the glass broke into 100 big and tiny pieces. The glass pierced through her skin, mixing his blood with Kim's blood. But the one who went to the casualty was on the floor, droning in a pool of his own blood. If not the heave of his chest and the whimpers out of pain, he would be considered dead. But Jungkook wasn't satisfied. How many times this his man followed her, and to how many places? In what situations? He saw her with his dirty eyes. It messed with Jungkook's brain. He gripped a piece of glass and brought it near Kim's eye. Jungkook, now, what will remain of you? Jungkook stepped out of the meeting room while blood was splattered all over his clothes and his face. All eyes were on him, yet he was too gone to spare them a glance. He ordered his secretary to call his tailor and get him an identical suit tailored like the one he was wearing within 2 hours. No way he was letting Vine know about any of this. She didn't deserve the creep and anxiety it will brought her. Alongside, he decided to increase her security as well. Jungkook personally removed everything from Kim's laptop and infiltrated his home. The walls filled with his wife's pictures only added up to his anger. He removed every trace of Vian from Kim's home and devices. That was his only mission for today. So when he returned home in clean clothes, he smiled at his wife and showered her with affection she deserved, away from the cruelty of this world, protected in his strong arms.